my lovely.
Hi.
Welcome to America's Got Talent. How are you?
A little bit nervous.
That's okay to be nervous. That's totally understandable.
In the latest season of America's Got Talent, a 13-year-old girl from a small town in England walked onto that stage. And what happened next shocked the entire world. Simon Cowell, the judge who had seen it all, watched something so extraordinary that it would move him to tears on live television. This is the unbelievable story of how Courtney Hadwin went from being the shy schoolgirl nobody expected to win, to a moment so powerful that it silenced every critic and brought one of the toughest judges in television history to his knees. When Courtney Hadwin stepped into the spotlight at just 13 years old, she carried with her an undeniable force that nobody could have anticipated. This young girl from Hesleden, a tiny village in County Durham, England, seemed almost terrified to be standing on that massive stage, with her family watching nervously from the audience and millions of viewers tuning in from home. Courtney appeared to be just another hopeful contestant about to face the scrutiny of Simon Cowell, Howie Mandel, Mel B, and Heidi Klum. But beneath that bashful exterior lived a volcanic talent that was about to explode across television screens worldwide, creating a moment that would be replayed over 300 million times. What nobody in that theater could have predicted was that this unassuming teenager would deliver a performance so electrifying, so utterly transformative, that it would fundamentally change the trajectory of her entire life. Join us as we tell you what really happened to Courtney Hadwin from America's Got Talent. The cameras captured every second as Courtney shuffled onto the stage during her audition. Her shoulders hunched, her voice barely above a whisper as she introduced herself to the judges. Simon Cowell, known for his brutal honesty and sky-high standards, could be seen exchanging skeptical glances with the other judges. Here was this quiet, awkward 13-year-old girl who looked like she might burst into tears at any moment. When host Tyra Banks asked her what she would be performing, Courtney's voice trembled as she explained she'd be singing Otis Redding's classic Hard to Handle. The judges nodded politely, clearly not expecting much from this nervous child standing before them. In the audience, Courtney's parents Paul and Anne-Marie sat frozen with anticipation, having watched their daughter battle crippling shyness her entire life. Her grandfather would later reveal that Courtney was so painfully shy that she would often sing in her sleep rather than perform in front of others when awake. Then the music started. What happened in the next 3 minutes can only be described as pure magic. The instant that first note hit, Courtney transformed. Gone was the shy schoolgirl, replaced by an absolute powerhouse who commanded that stage like a seasoned rock legend. She exploded into Hard to Handle with the kind of raw, guttural energy that hadn't been seen since Janis Joplin herself tore up the stage at Woodstock. Courtney's voice roared through the theater, her body writhing and dancing with abandon, her wild hair flying as she stomped across the stage with the confidence of someone who had been performing for decades. The audience erupted, leaping to their feet in stunned disbelief. Camera phones appeared everywhere, capturing this impossible moment as people screamed and cheered. Unable to believe what they were witnessing, the judges sat frozen, their mouths literally hanging open in shock. Howie Mandel's eyes went wide, and he slowly rose from his seat, completely transfixed. Mel B started laughing in pure joy, clapping her hands above her head. Heidi Klum jumped up, screaming encouragement. And Simon Cowell, the man who had rolled his eyes at thousands of contestants, sat there with his hand over his mouth, shaking his head in absolute wonder. When Courtney hit a stunning vocal run that showcased her incredible upper register, Howie actually shouted ho, unable to contain his amazement. The entire theater was on its feet, the sound of their applause deafening as Courtney delivered a performance that felt like it had ripped a hole in reality itself. When the music finally stopped, the judges could barely form words. Howie Mandel was the first to speak, and he was trembling with excitement. He told Courtney that she wasn't from this era, that she belonged to a completely different time. Then he shared a story that would change Courtney's life forever. He spoke about legendary music producer Clive Davis going to the Monterey Pop Festival and discovering a young girl nobody had ever heard of before. A girl who became one of the greatest rock singers in history. That girl was Janis Joplin. Howie looked at Courtney and said her performance reminded him of that exact moment. That lightning-in-a-bottle discovery that happens once in a generation. The comparison sent chills through the audience. Simon Cowell, still looking dazed, leaned forward and delivered one of his most memorable lines ever. He told Courtney that she sang like a lion, fierce and fearless and utterly commanding. Melby praised her incredible transformation from shy girl to rock goddess. And then Howie Mandel did something spectacular. With tears in his eyes and his voice breaking with emotion, he reached down and slammed his hand on the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above as Courtney stood there in shock, her hands covering her face as she burst into tears. The other judges rushed to congratulate her. The audience went absolutely wild, and Courtney's parents sobbed with joy in the stands. She was going straight to the live shows, bypassing every other round of competition. Within hours, the video of her audition began spreading like wildfire across social media, racking up millions upon millions of views. But the journey was far from over. In fact, it was about to get significantly more complicated, as Courtney's audition video continued to explode online, eventually reaching over 300 million views. Something unexpected happened. Internet detectives began digging into her background, and what they discovered sparked a massive controversy that threatened to derail everything. Courtney, it turned out, had previously competed on The Voice Kids UK in 2017, where she had made it to the finals. This revelation ignited a firestorm of criticism online, with thousands of people accusing the show of being rigged, claiming that Courtney had been planted as a ringer, that her shy persona was completely fake, and that America's Got Talent had deceived viewers by presenting her as an unknown talent. The backlash was brutal and relentless. Social media exploded with angry comments questioning everything about Courtney's authenticity. People pointed to her previous television appearance as proof that she was actually an experienced performer pulling off an elaborate act. The criticism cut deep, with some accusers going so far as to claim she was performing under the influence of substances to achieve her wild stage presence. Courtney, still just a young teenager trying to process her sudden fame, found herself at the center of a media storm that would have crushed many adults. Her family, friends, and former teachers rushed to her defense, explaining that Courtney had indeed been painfully shy her entire life, that her transformation on stage was genuine, and that plenty of other contestants had prior performance experience before appearing on AGT. But the damage was done, and the controversy continued to swirl as she prepared for the live shows. Behind the scenes, Courtney faced pressures that few 13-year-olds could imagine. She was still attending school back in England, while simultaneously preparing for one of the biggest competitions on television. The expectation was overwhelming, the scrutiny suffocating. Every move she made was analyzed, every performance compared to that legendary audition. Could she possibly live up to the impossible standard she had set? The weight of 300 million views sat heavy on her young shoulders as she prepared to prove the world wrong. It was during the quarterfinals that Courtney Hadwin truly silenced her critics and reminded everyone why Howie Mandel had pressed that golden buzzer. 3 weeks had passed since her viral audition, and anticipation was at fever pitch. Host Tyra Banks announced that Courtney's audition video had now been viewed more than 200 million times, a staggering number that only added to the pressure. When Courtney took the stage on August 14, 2018, to perform James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, she carried the hopes and doubts of millions with her. The cameras captured her standing in the wings, taking deep breaths, preparing to face the moment of truth. Then the music started, and Courtney unleashed everything she had been holding back. She attacked that James Brown classic with even more ferocity than her audition, her voice soaring and growling with the kind of raw soul that simply cannot be taught. She danced across the stage with wild abandon, her energy so infectious that the entire audience was on their feet within seconds, clapping along, screaming encouragement, completely swept up in the magic of this extraordinary young performer. Every note she hit seemed to carry the weight of proving herself, of showing the doubters that her talent was real, that her passion was genuine, that she belonged on this stage. When the final note rang out, the theater erupted into absolute pandemonium. All four judges leaped to their feet instantly, applauding with genuine enthusiasm. Simon Cowell was grinning from ear to ear, something rarely seen from the notoriously critical judge. Howie Mandel looked like a proud father watching his daughter succeed beyond his wildest dreams. Melby praised Courtney for being so unapologetically herself, for refusing to tone down her wild energy to please anyone. Heidi Klum called her a star in the making, and Simon, shaking his head in wonder, declared that Courtney was not just talented, but completely unique, a one-of-a-kind performer who brought genuine excitement to the competition. The judges' praise was universal and enthusiastic, and when the results were announced, Courtney easily advanced to the semifinals with one of the highest vote totals of the night. Social media exploded once again, but this time the narrative had shifted. Twitter was flooded with praise, with fans declaring Courtney's performance the best of the season. Instagram comments poured in from around the world, with viewers predicting she would win the entire competition. YouTube videos analyzing her vocal technique racked up millions of views. The hashtag Courtney Hadwin began trending worldwide. The girl who had been criticized as fake and manufactured had proven that her talent was undeniable, and her passion absolutely genuine. For her semifinal performance on September 11th, Courtney chose Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild, and she delivered it with such thunderous power that the judges could barely contain their excitement. Simon Cowell praised her as being in a different league entirely, predicting she could win the whole show. Howie Mandel stood up before she even finished singing, too excited to remain seated, declaring that his golden buzzer girl was going to take the crown. When the results came in, Courtney advanced to the finals, joining an elite group of just 10 acts competing for the $1 million prize, and a headlining show in Las Vegas that the finals on September 18th, 2018, represented the culmination of everything Courtney had worked for. She chose to perform Tina Turner's River Deep, Mountain High, a song that demanded vocal power, emotional depth, and complete command of the stage. Courtney delivered all of that and more. She poured her heart and soul into every single note, her voice soaring to incredible heights, her performance radiating the kind of joy and passion that reminded everyone why they had fallen in love with her in the first place. The judges praised her endlessly, with Simon noting that this was exactly what the finals were all about: showing growth, showing artistry, showing why you deserve to win. The standing ovation seemed to last forever, and polls conducted before the results suggested that Courtney was the heavy favorite to win. But when the results were finally revealed, something shocking happened. Courtney didn't make the top 5. Magician Shin Lim ultimately won the competition, with acrobatic group Zerkero placing second and electric violinist Brian King Joseph finishing third. Courtney didn't even crack the top 5, a result that stunned viewers and sent shockwaves through social media. Fans couldn't believe it, with many speculating that her frontrunner status had actually hurt her because supporters assumed she was safe and didn't feel the need to vote. Others pointed to vote splitting among the 4 singing acts who made the finals. Whatever the reason, Courtney's journey on America's Got Talent had come to an unexpected end. Yet even in that moment of disappointment, something beautiful emerged. On the results show, Courtney performed Piece of My Heart alongside the rock band The Struts, delivering a performance so powerful that it felt like a victory lap rather than a consolation prize. And Simon Cowell, who had been moved by her talent from the very first audition, made sure she didn't leave empty-handed. Today, Courtney Hadwin's story has evolved into something far more remarkable than a talent show victory could have ever provided. Though she didn't win America's Got Talent, she achieved something arguably more valuable: artistic freedom and creative authenticity. In December 2018, just months after the finals, Courtney signed a record deal with Simon Cowell's Sicko Music in conjunction with Arista Records. Simon personally championed her, stating that Courtney was an amazing artist and that he would never forget her first audition. The deal seemed like a dream come true for the young performer. However, Courtney soon discovered that the music industry had very specific ideas about who she should be and what kind of music she should make. Label executives wanted to mold her into a conventional pop star, pushing her towards safe, radio-friendly material that felt nothing like the raw, soulful rock music that made her special. For a while, Courtney tried to follow their direction, attempting to fit into the boxes they created for her. But something felt fundamentally wrong. This wasn't why she fell in love with music in the first place. In a move that took tremendous courage, Courtney made the decision to go completely independent. She parted ways with Simon's label, choosing artistic integrity over the promise of mainstream success. In 2023, she released her first independent single, Breakable, making a point to comment on social media that this was finally her doing things her way. She had taken control of her own destiny, choosing to create music that felt genuine rather than manufactured. Working closely with Grammy-winning producer Kevin Bowe, who has collaborated with legends like Etta James and Joe Cocker, Courtney spent years developing her authentic voice. She released a string of original singles including That Girl Don't Live Here, Call Me Back, Monsters, You Only Love Me When I Lie, and DNA, each one showcasing different facets of her personality and refusing to be confined to a single genre. Her Live at Metropolis Studios performance videos have generated over 1 million views, proving that her fanbase remained loyal and engaged. On September 12, 2024, Courtney released her debut album Little Miss Jagged, a 14-track roller coaster that blends soul, rock, funk, punk, and R&B into something uniquely her own. The album title itself reflects her refusal to be polished into something she's not. She's jagged, raw, imperfect, and unapologetically herself. Co-written with Kevin Bowe, the album features deeply personal songs about heartbreak, addiction, self-discovery, and the chaos of growing up in the public eye. Courtney has described the album as the most vulnerable she's ever been, admitting that releasing such personal material is terrifying but necessary. In April 2024, Courtney achieved a milestone that connected her journey back to that America's Got Talent audition. In the most beautiful way, she performed at New York Pop's 41st birthday gala, honoring Clive Davis, the very same legendary producer that Howie Mandel had referenced. When comparing Courtney to Janis Joplin's Discovery, the circle had completed itself in the most poetic way imaginable. Currently, Courtney is touring with her full band across the UK and Europe, playing sold-out shows in London, Birmingham, and Manchester. She's signed with Total Artist Management after previously leaving MN2's agency when they couldn't secure her the gig she deserved. Her Instagram following has grown to over 1 million devoted fans who celebrate her authenticity and artistic evolution. She continues to release music on her own terms, building a sustainable career based on genuine connection with her audience, rather than chasing viral moments or commercial success. Perhaps most importantly, Courtney has remained true to the girl who first walked onto that America's Got Talent stage, shy in conversation, explosive in performance, and absolutely unwilling to compromise her artistic soul for anyone. She still lives in England, still works with dedication to perfect her craft, and still carries that same volcanic passion that made Simon Cowell shake his head in wonder and brought Howie Mandel to tears. Courtney Hadwin's journey proves that talent, combined with determination and authenticity, can overcome any obstacle, even when the path doesn't look like the one you expected. She didn't need to win America's Got Talent to become a winner. She just needed to stay true to herself, trust her voice, and refuse to let anyone else define who she should be. From that shy 13-year-old who could barely speak to the judges, to the fierce independent artist releasing music that matters to her, Courtney has shown the world that the most powerful transformations aren't the ones that happen on stage. They're the ones that happen in your soul when you decide to be unapologetically yourself. What do you think about Courtney Hadwin's incredible journey from viral sensation to independent artist? Do you think she made the right choice going independent instead of following the traditional music industry path? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And which other talent show contestant should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story of talent, courage, and triumph. As for Courtney Hadwin, her story is far from over. With her debut album now in the world and tours on the horizon, we can't wait to see what this remarkable young woman accomplishes next. Her journey reminds us all that sometimes losing the competition means winning something far more valuable, your authentic voice.